Christmas intro's cool.
Shush!
It is though.
Forged in the lockdown. Hello and welcome to Critical Questions, the Unfathomable quiz. I've trawled the internet for the best, worst, most interesting and ridiculous dumb questions I can find. And with any luck, my guests will be able to answer all of them. You will notice a window missing. This is for Notjar Witness, who will be here any minute.
It's very early in the morning for him.
You never complained
I know
once.
his pain, though.
We should get on the. Well, they should get on decent time zones. You know, it's not like the fucking Earth's a globe or nothing.
So should you guys.
We are. We're on GMT.
No.
No. But we did 6 months of this, and you were up at the crack of dawn and didn't complain once, more than once a day.
Did I not complain early?
You know, in your guys' case, GMT stands for grandiose meantime.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
I'm complaining now. It's really early.
So EST means extremely shit time.
Why do you want to start the fucking show pissing me off, Jeff? It is not the way to go. Do you see my name?
Yeah, and CST stands for completely
fucking
sane time. So screw you all.
There we go.
What makes you think I'm trying to piss you off, man?
God fucking damn it.
Nacho!
Right. Today we have got with us Mandapants, Mathpig,
Hey.
Jenny, Jeff, and Nacho.
Jeez, he's
Damn.
kind of stiff. You've been drinking?
We expected him to talk and he didn't.
He's there.
What?
Hello, marriage is low.
Hello.
Do you have a question, Dave?
No, I have lots.
Well, what the fuck are we doing here then?
Right. Okay, fine. You want a question? How are there? We're there. We forgot the banter. How was your Christmas?
Christmas sucks. Next question.
Yeah.
At least it only happens once a year. It's the only thing good to say
That's
about
too
it.
often.
That's too often.
Yeah. Can we make it like the Olympics once every 4 years?
5.
We could have it on January. We could move it to February 29th.
We could move to Australia and keep it there. Don't bother me anymore with it. Fuck Christmas.
You guys are really fucking up our there was no war on Christmas, decision.
Who told you? Where did you get this idea that there was no war on Christmas?
We came to that conclusion. We worked through it. Did you not see my show, Jeff?
You were lied to.
There wasn't a war on Christmas until the conservatives decided it would be a good thing to harass us about, and then we said, "Hey, yeah, that's a good idea."
We've already had like a couple of drafting sessions for next year's war.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna win finally.
We're gonna get it fucking cancelled one year. I promise you.
We don't need to get it cancelled. We just need to take the religion out of it completely.
Yeah.
No, I don't like that fat dude in the suit either.
Okay.
You don't like the fat
at
dude.
the dinner table, and it's me and Angel and my father and my mother, and she sits down and she really wants to have a prayer, and she looks at the 3 atheists in front of her, and it's like.
See, that's the weird thing about my family is everybody in my family. I don't know that they're declared atheists. I am. But the rest of my family, if they're not, they just don't go to fucking church. They haven't for decades. But every stupid fucking Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, there's somebody says prayers, and it's the same ones I've heard since I was a kid. And it's just like, what the fuck are we doing? When's the last time you did your church? Thank God.
Rub-a-dub-dub, thanks for the grub.
Thanking God for the food at your table when like other people in the world are starving kind of feels fucked up to me.
Yeah, it does.
Mm.
And it completely disrespects the farmers that grew it. God damn it.
None of you haven't cooked it very often. Right. First question.
Okay.
Question 1334. If you had to pick one highlight from your third decade in life, what would you pick?
Oh.
Third decade.
Well, that would be our 20s.
That would be
Yes.
our 20s, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, fuck.
1, 2. Oh, okay. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
All of you, didn't you? All of you were trying to think about your 30s then.
Yeah.
I was trying. No, I was trying
my
to.
30s.
I was trying to figure out what part of my 20s wasn't a drug and alcohol-induced haze.
But that might have been your best thing.
I've been trying to forget birth to 10, 11 years old for a long, long time. You just brought it up again. Thanks.
Ox said, getting married. Never again says, earning my black belt. And there he says, a book I finally found was my highlight. What book? Jenny.
Well, I had sex for the first time.
Typical American. Wait till too late.
See that would apply to me, but I wouldn't really call it one of the highlights.
Jenny's not that bad.
It was for me. She never spoke to me again, Saul.
James Henry said, discovering the joy of LSD. Mark says, my third decade in life was a real life changer for me. I had a tiny motorcycle accident that changed my life.
Good settlement, huh?
Cadence says, my divorce. Enduri says, no longer human. Nacho.
Nacho?
Nacho.
He's falling asleep again.
Sorry for a second there. Not great in the morning. What was the question?
If you had to pick one highlight from your third decade in life, what would you pick?
Making it to it. That would be a highlight. I'm still young.
But you're over 20, aren't you?
Yeah.
It just occurred to me. You might not be.
Aren't you?
Highlight. Probably meeting Mero.
Aww.
Oh, sweet.
Well, in a bit context for that is, I've known her for the last 2 years now, I suppose, thereabouts, a year and a half. And before that, I'd been single for 8 years. So there wasn't that many highlights.
Not surprised you remember it. Chad says, highlight doesn't imply good necessarily, just notable enough for a biography. I would say
for all of my
Mero deserves a biography.
Chad says, I would say my pseudo-divorce. I'm assuming you weren't married. Ricardo says, work in East Timor. Timor? And Spooky says, bone marrow. I don't understand that.
Because Nachos and marrow.
Oh. Yes. He gets himself.
That's a silly little thing, but get him a motorcycle, probably one of the highlights.
Yeah. O'Hara says, I dropped a crotch fruit in my third decade.
Yep.
I
I guess that kind of has to be my answer.
Was that going to be your answer?
No. That make me a terrible person if it's not.
I've never heard a baby called that before. Crotch root.
There's lots of things. Crotch goblins.
I was gonna say that is a new one on me. But I like that word. I am gonna remember it.
Borg Skeptic says, starting my ex-Jehovah's Witness activism.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Robbie.
Can't really think of anything fantastic.
Oh, you didn't have Elena till after, did you?
No.
Abram, you can answer up till this point.
You had hair.
Yeah, I had a big forehead.
You had a big forehead.
Now, aren't we too? This question is not necessarily a good thing. Is that how we're taking this question?
Yeah, no, it could be a bad thing as well. It's a highlight.
All right. Well, then in that case, it would be permanently destroying the relationships with my entire family, from parents to cousins and everyone else. When I came out of the closet. How's that?
That works. And, I can't type. Never
What about
says,
you,
yeah.
Dave?
I don't remember much of my 20s.
You don't remember much of
how-
anything anyway.
Dave,
So.
how about the war ending?
There was
Is that a
war?
highlight? Yeah,
What war?
World War II. I was just
Civil
thinking
War.
highlight. I was thinking of highlights, Dave.
You walked into it.
Oh, that's terrible. Oh, I thought you might have been talking about the Iraq War or even the Falklands. My dad was 20. It was 98. The Spice Girls.
Dude,
I don't know.
Dude, they weren't even a highlight of my teenage. They weren't even a highlight of my teenage years, and I was definitely of the right age as a young man to have been interested in them. But they no, it did nothing. It did nothing for me whatsoever.
I inherited my daughter in my 20s. That was pretty good.
Yeah, you got
Um,
that.
Bought a house. That was fun. I don't know. Lots of fun things, but nothing above that I can remember that's not weird. No. No idea.
Weird
Right.
is okay. We accept
There was-
weird
there
too.
was lot- Doesn't count. Right, next question. Oh, this might not fit on the screen. It's a long one. Right. Question 1335. For Christmas, you get a PC made of pulsating flesh, blood, and bone with all the normal PC ports. It has 1,000 times raw computing power than your current PC. But you have to feed it a rat once a week. How would you react?
Is it better or worse than a 3090?
Fuck, Dave.
Could I substitute like
Yep.
10 mice?
No, it's got to be
It's,
rat.
What if I'm just out of rats and all I have is mice left, or gerbils even? They're bigger.
Then you won't be able to use it.
Oh fuck! All right, well then, okay, I go the extra mile and get rats. So what?
So you'd have no problem with it.
No, they're just rats.
Theo says, upgrade my meat and meat PC.
You need to be. I'd be a little concerned about that because you mean rat as in rodent or remote access Trojan virus?
No, I mean rats as in nerdy.
Oh, I always figured Nerdy is a cute little mouse, not a.
No, he's a rodent. He's a rat. Theo says, upgrade me to a meat PC. But Horace says, a live rat. Well, pretty much alive. Fresh, we'll say. Brainbug says, what does it taste like when you lick it? I've no idea.
The rat or the
Yes.
computer?
The computer.
Oh,
GSM. Go on.
I think To be fair, it'd still probably be a lot less aggro than fucking keeping my Apple, fucking ancient Apple laptop fucking working.
And Geo says, rat feeding it is. Ox says, can we substitute a Republican for that rat?
Ooh, that would be a good thing.
Theo says, I'd feed it tons of mice. Chad says, I'm cool with it. Since the computer exists, then it would need to be treated like a snake. Give it some treats and see if it goes faster. Math Pig.
Is it faster than a 3090?
What's a 3090?
The new graphics card that nobody can get hold of everywhere,
Yes,
anywhere.
it is considerably faster.
Oh, are those Bitcoin people buying them up again?
Nah, well, that's not really, no, but
just can't get on the market. Aren't pigs rodents? No. Manda.
I mean, in all honesty, I'd probably eventually just stop feeding. I don't know. Like, okay, so the last animal I just worked with, my job was a fucking field mouse. I don't know if I could feed a live rodent to anything now, regardless of it being a rat or not. So I probably wouldn't.
You ever been bit by a rodent?
No.
You wouldn't have any problem feeding them one afterwards. Trust me. Man, could they shred you in one single bite? They're nasty.
Nacho.
What am I doing?
For Christmas,
Would you feed your rats to your computer?
if it gave you a computer that was 1,000 times more powerful than you've got now.
I mean, where's the conflict here? I feed mice to the snakes all the time.
I know
At
you
least the
do.
computer doesn't try and eat me.
Well, mice are a lot cuter than rats.
Yeah.
But are rats cuter than snakes?
Rats are more
I had
intelligent.
a pet rat. It was a brilliant little thing. Probably wouldn't feed it to a snake.
Well, not a pet rat.
So you've got no problem.
See, Americans are very squeamish about this sort of thing. Rats are consumed as standard food in much of the world. Yeah, they're a vermin here, and Americans don't like even thought of eating a horse. But protein's protein. If you got to have it, you'll eat one too someday if it comes down to it.
Yeah. Bulk Skeptic says, wow, a pet that is actually useful. I would love that. But does that mean the PC would shit? No, the PC would shit. Don't think. Never Again says, no, and just fucking no.
So could I make a counter proposal? Instead of feeding it a rat once every week, can I feed it a cat once a month?
No. Oddly enough, someone else said that and I'd missed it. What the hell there? Someone said, can I overclock it? Oh, there you go. Ricardo says, can I feed it a pigeon to overclock it? As well as the rats, maybe. Or it says, you'd never see me again. Johan Roderick. Okay, I saw the question. Big hell no, that's how the machines take over.
You only feed it a pigeon if you want to do aeronautical calculations.
It'd take off. Spooky says, it would solve my rat problem. Does it hunt them down? No, you have to feed it. Well, if it gets legs, run away. Brainbug says, Brainbug is focused on what it tastes like.
The rats have to be live as well, is that correct?
And again, I say the rat or the computer.
The rat has to be fresh.
Fresh, so it doesn't necessarily mean live.
No, he can be dead, but it's got to be recently dead.
But basically, I could theoretically. There is an air rifle in the house. I could ping a little bastard like that out my window here, and then go and grab it and feed it to the computer.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Chad says, I
don't see a drawback to this whatsoever.
Chad says, I tried to give a squirrel a peanut once. Fucking bit my thumb. I was walking to a park with a bag of Imperial Mints, a massive bag of Imperial Mints, and all of a sudden a squirrel landed on my shoulder. It just came from somewhere. I was walking to a park and it came from above and just landed on me. Abram Perkins says, I had a pet rat. She never bit me, but she did bite my sister.
Now, considering that squirrels are just bushy-tailed rats, could we substitute with white paws?
Dave, that little thing you just told me, that reminds me of that Stuart Lee joke about him walking through the park, and there's a sign up saying, "Do not feed the birds as it could attract rats." And there's some woman feeding the rats. And said, "Well, surely somewhere implicit in that sign is also the suggestion, do not feed the rats."
Yes. Theo says, to overclock it, you have to feed it bigger rodents. Sewer rats. Mark says, imagine being in a Japanese game show and having to eat a mouse for $1 million. What, live? Just pop it down your throat.
Yeah.
I mean, for $1 million, it's not too hard to do, is it?
No, I think I could probably take it. Get your throat stretched to buggery.
When I was in 6th grade, I had this teacher, first male teacher I ever had, Mr. Ebert. He was a prick. He apparently went to China and spent a couple of years there, and he took all these pictures, and he decided to torture us for 3 days with slides from China. And then there was this part where he was in like Hong Kong, and there were these people walking around with sticks and rats nailed to them, selling them for food.
Yeah. I'm in trouble, but Sandy telling me off for not saying the question right again. It's pulsating flesh, blood, and bone. He'll be called Steve, apparently.
Could you have sex with this computer?
It's Dave, of course he will.
I'm pretty sure there is actually someone who, I'm pretty damn sure there's actually people who have married their computers already.
I'm regretting Brain Bug not being on today at the moment because he keeps coming up. Is the PC warm-blooded? Chad says, and how has no one asked about the blowjob possibilities? It's got a mouth. Presumably it could type some naughty things. Theo says,
depending on your size, it's got loads of holes.
You just got to be careful though that you don't get your rat confused with your mouse. See?
Oh.
You don't try and stick them both into the same port at the same time.
If the meat PC is conscious, we run into problems. I don't think we do as long as there's only one, and you don't feed it too much stuff or let it get wet.
Never feed it after midnight.
Yeah. Chad says, there are places here where you can get out of the car, gold seeds in your hands, and the Chickadian sparrows will land on you like Disney princesses. What the hell is the Chickadian?
Chickadee and sparrows, two different words. Chickadee.
The chickadee and sparrows. There we go. My bad. What the hell is Rous? R-O-U-S-S.
The ruse?
The ruse. I am completely lost. You guys are very disturbed puppies. Yes, they are. Never Again says, I'd ready to trade my PC in for a newer model, but I sure as shit don't want pulsating blood and bone computer that requires rats for fuel.
Would it be illuminated with LEDs inside?
Sorry, who said?
It'd be like free pest control.
Who said that?
Sandy. Never Again.
Sandy, you clearly don't own an Apple. You'd fucking trade it in a heartbeat.
If it leaks bodily fluids, I don't want the meat PC. It's 1,000 times better than the current generation of PC. Imagine having a computer that was from the 80s now.
Well, where does it go on the other end? There's always got to be another end. If you're going to feed it, it's going to have another end.
It's very
Where's
efficient.
that going to go?
It's very
That's true,
efficient and puts out small eucalyptus cubes. Eucalyptus smelling cubes.
When you think about it, you realize that humans and every other animal on Earth is just one long tube.
Yes.
Kind of. I remember watching a video on that, and because there's like all the different tubages that come off of us, we're a very intricate kind of tube.
But we all start off as an arsehole. All the way through. Right, next question.
Which, by the way, you can get a kit to make a mold and have little candies of your asshole.
Wait a minute. Wait a fucking minute.
What?
Dave.
What?
Oh, damn it.
You had to.
You want little arsehole candies?
We needed to know that.
I know what I'm giving to the winners of this year. This season.
I think Jenny just broke herself.
I think you've broken Jenny and Amanda.
Dave,
Yeah.
did you answer the question?
Yes, I'm giving everyone candy arseholes as prizes. No.
Can I have
no,
candy arseholes? Can I have someone else's candy arsehole?
I don't mind candy assholes. Just don't use that fucking glue stuff again that went all over the fucking box. You know?
Well, you're supposed to make them out of
And
chocolate.
next year, use raw mail. We won't get fucking damaged in the post, Dave. It's fucking DPT.
To be fair, I didn't use DPD. What I used was Transglobal, who send it various different ways.
I will tell you who delivered it because I was there when they turned
No.
up.
I don't doubt that they delivered it. What it is, we don't use we don't use any of the couriers. We don't use any of the couriers. We send it to a place, and they send it through various different ones. Like the US ones, I think went by UPS, but we still send it the same way.
See, I imagine UPS didn't fuck it up.
Well, hers arrived in one piece, as far as I know. Well, it looked in one piece. Yes, I would have the PC.
I'm better now.
Are you? Mm-hmm. You're done with chocolate arseholes.
Mm-hmm.
So Donna says she wants a candy arsehole.
Does
Imagine you could order the candy arsehole, but it was like, I want a famous person's candy arsehole. Like, I want Brad Pitt's arsehole.
Donna, stop bigging up your ass, all right? You you keep bragging about it.
By the way, if you don't believe me, you can do a Google search on that.
Manda's gone again.
It's not allowed to. If it's as good as Manda says it is, it's not allowed to be any nicer. I'm sorry.
Hi, Donna.
Nelly says, "Don't you want a hard candy arsehole so you can suck on it for longer?"
What is this a conversation?
Oh, good lord! That's why I love coming on these streams.
We have a perfectly innocent question.
We have
a perfectly innocent question about murderous PCs, and you turn it smutty.
Why are they murderous now?
Well, it wants rats.
no, they're not murderous because you said we could kill the bloody rats.
In my head, I'm thinking Little Shop of Horrors, but with a computer. Sits in the corner. Feed me.
Feed it more. The computer's going to grow.
Yes. Never again.
But doesn't technology get smaller over size, so if it grows and make it more of a shit computer?
It gets more powerful. It grows more CPUs.
I got to hand you. This is probably one of the most fucked up questions you've ever had on here, actually.
No, not even close.
Never. All right, the next one's far worse. Judy says, "Can I feed the computer men who beat up women?" You can feed the computer whatever you want. It needs rats to function, but I'm sure it would happily munch down on anything. Might grow faster. Right, next question. Question 1336. If you could shut down all news outlets and start again, would your new news empire be impartial or have an agenda?
Is
Okay,
educating people an agenda?
Okay. You're suggesting we would be the individual moguls in charge of all the news. Is that what you're suggesting with this?
Yes?
So we get to be Murdoch, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the first thing I would do is probably kill Murdoch. Like, I would use my empire to destroy his.
I fully support that decision.
The problem with this is, even if you set out to be impartial, there will inherently be biases that come into it.
Well, okay, let's just.
We asked if there was an agenda. There's an agenda of telling the news, because that hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah. See, I would like, for example, like with newspapers, for example, if I was, I would very much say have news and opinion pieces separate, rather than what seems to be with the current thing within journalism, that opinions are very much within the news and it's not just reported on factually.
Yes. Oh, there, 2 seconds. Math Pig, what were you going to say?
Hmm?
What were you going to say at the start when I asked the question?
Is education an agenda?
I think so, yes. Because you're making a choice, in which case, in a lot of respects, as to what not to say.
Or how to say.
Nerdy Rodent says, Rodent Imperial News would most certainly have an agenda. James Henry says, impartial. I bet you he'd have negative reviews of that PC.
I think the best you could do is try to be impartial. It would fail. It would absolutely fail, because there is no outlet I can think of in the world that is impartial. I mean, and I don't know why people hold the BBC up as supposedly impartial news source,
because it is by far the most impartial. That's the problem.
But it is also very, very partisan on a number of issues.
Company.
And
of course
it's proven that.
Yes, I don't dispute that, but it's still far better, unfortunately, than virtually any other news organisation.
It's not
compared to like Fox News or something. Yeah,
there are areas where the BBC is absolutely abysmal.
No, I completely agree.
I'm
not
bigoted.
Yes, I completely agree. But the BBC is still better than most. That's how bad. That's how bad the industry is.
I don't know. I mean, I just say. Go and watch the way BBC ever covers Israel and Palestine. You see
they have an agenda.
Bias that there is there.
They have an agenda.
Yeah,
that they always have. At the end of the day, this is the problem with the question.
This is
everyone has an agenda.
You can set out. You can, even with the best will in the world, set out to be impartial, but I can't see that you could possibly stay impartial. And another thing is, one huge problem for and I've spoken to some journalists about this. One huge problem isn't necessarily proprietors leaning on them to write something a certain way or report something a certain way. That is a problem, but it is not necessarily the biggest problem. The biggest problem is on getting copy and getting things out there, and stories. It's always like instant reporting, and a lot of the time journalists are not given the time to actually really dig into stories. That is a bigger problem. So I think if I were a proprietor of something, I would try, if I could do one thing, it would be try to put more emphasis on in-depth reporting.
You want to be a proprietor of Private Eye rather than the BBC?
Yeah, well, I mean, as I said, I mean, probably, I mean, in the UK, I'd say as far as daily newspapers go, the only two that try to do any in-depth investigative reporting are the Guardian and I don't like the paper, but probably the Telegraph. They're the only two that even attempt to do any in-depth reporting.
Right, so let me catch up on the chat. Horror says Nout is neutral. Abram Perkins says define agenda. Spooky says impartial like it is now. Judy says I would try to be impartial. Ox says impartial like it should be. Never Again says it would be impossible to start a news empire without an agenda. Let's make the agenda to be impartial and factual. That would be lovely.
My turn.
Can I catch up on the chat first? Then I'm not behind. Just says facts only. I would format it in such a way that programmers would not allow for opinion unless qualified by the legitimate education on a subject. Theo says impartial, have an agenda, aren't exclusionary in my opinion. No, you're right. Ahura says, and they're now redefining. So define education. They're now giving different ways of doing the stories from different directions. Ricardo says, isn't the agenda implicit? Even if you want to be 100% impartial, good luck with that, there is still an agenda. James Henry says, news outlets need advertising revenue. Chad says, I will be a benevolent dictator. Theo said, is it important to be transparent but have good values in my opinion? Borg says, agenda would be never talk about celebrities that don't deserve the attention and tell the truth about religion. Ahura says, the dog knows bollocks when it hears. Theo says, we're corrupt kids in industrial nations. We shouldn't make politics. James Henry says, America's PBS is also very good. Does PBS do news?
Public television.
Do they do news?
Yes, they do.
They do. I did not know that. Who gets to define education? Theo says, that's what I prefer, crowd-funded news. Yeah, Twitter is pretty much crowd-funded news. There's as much absolute shit there as there is decent. Jenny, go!
I don't like the use of the word agenda, but that's beside the point. There's I don't believe it's possible to have any human being that does not have implicit bias of one sort or another. If you're going to bring it into news, a news program, I don't care what your bias is. If you want to be a raging conservative, go ahead. If you want to be a raging liberal, go ahead. Tell that to your audience.
Yes, but they won't to do that because you immediately get rid of your ability to manipulate people.
Well, that's not a news organization then. You said a news organization, not a propaganda organization.
News as we are discovering, if there is an agenda, if there is a bias, there is automatically
No, news can have a legitimate bias one way or the other, or 3 or 4 ways in the other. But once you bring into propaganda, or try to label news as only one thing without admitting your bias, then it's propaganda.
Then all news, pretty much all news we have today is propaganda.
Yes.
For the most part, yeah.
Now, propaganda doesn't mean just that which the state says. Propaganda can come from any source.
Yes.
And the other thing I want to do to defend journalism of today is I think most people in the world have very little clue on what it takes to put together a news story or a newspaper or something like that. Especially nowadays in our lens of instant everything and information worldwide instantly. It takes time for a news story to develop.
Yes.
Okay, period. I don't care what it is.
Journalistic integrity.
You can't possibly tell the whole story 5 minutes after it occurred.
Yeah, but the problem is if we don't have news organizations trying to.
No, they are trying to, but they only have 5 minutes to put together telling you that this place thing just blew up in downtown Nashville. And an hour or so later, we learned that, okay, it was in front of an AT&T building. Oh, another couple of hours later, we learned hey, nobody was killed. The pieces of information develop. They come into the story. You can't possibly know every story completely and accurately all at once. You cannot.
And yet they still insist on trying to report it, as you say, immediately, as if it's all now.
Yeah, and people taking that for the absolute truth and the finality of the story. It's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the problem we have there, there's no way we could prevent that anymore, because we have things like Twitter and Facebook where you can spread information to a wide area.
The problem isn't spreading the information; it's the problem with the audience thinking it's the finality of the word, and then accusing people for incompetence or something because facts change over time.
So you're back to the problem of science improving over time.
Well, you can call it science or whatever you want. People report; they don't describe the whole damn thing at once. News develops. All news develops.
Theo says, social media can be such a channel for all kinds of propaganda, important to develop critical thinking skills and look behind the manipulation. And it's one of those things at the moment I've been banging on about in terms of education. The reason America is the way it is now is not because it's full of evangelicals, it's not because it's full of conservatives, it's because you've chosen not to educate your populace. I mean, I don't mean you mostly, but and ours is going the same way. Manda, bias, gender, impartial.
Hard to follow all of that since everything's pretty much covered. So just truth.
Just truth. So you'd have the controversy of both sides of the climate change debate reported.
Fuck you, Dave. You know what I mean, God damn it.
Yes. But the point is, there is consensus there. But it's a nice example, because that's what they use. The fact that there is this little bit of disagreement, that's enough to report on it as an agenda. I mean, it came up with the BBC and trans stuff at the moment, because they are putting the fact that they're putting across the other side of the opinion by allowing anti-trans groups to talk. And the people are going to the BBC. Wait a minute, if you've got someone that is trying to fight racism, you don't get white supremacists on against them. That's not the other side of the story. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very odd balance there.
I just want to say, if we're going to use something about, if we want to call our news outlet something to do with truth, I'll just point out what the Russian word for truth is. Pravda.
What's that?
Pravda.
Which means?
Truth. Anyone here know what Pravda is?
No.
Yeah. Something like that. That was the Daily Pravda. That was the newspaper, the state newspaper of the Communist Party for like 70 years. It's still a biased fucking newspaper to this day.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But I would just say, I know I had a long spiel on that, and I will just say one more thing, and then we'll probably get on this, because I've spoken way too much on this. But I did have, a few years ago, I did get the opportunity to talk to Nick Davis, who's a reporter for The Guardian, or he was when I spoke to him. He was heavily involved in breaking something that was a very big news story, which would not have gotten reported on if it wasn't for the fact that he and a number of colleagues did a lot of digging, because of the whole get news out there now kind of thing. What turned out to be a big news story almost got killed, and he was one of, and that was actually what the fuck Murdoch's publications were doing with all the phone hacking and shit.
Yeah.
And that turned out to be that almost never didn't come to light, because it was like a tiny little thing, and most news organisations get stuff out there now, and then like don't report any further. if it wasn't for the fact there was people that spent a couple of years or so digging and digging and digging, that shit would never have come to light, and it would have been still going on today. And
Yes. What it is. Robbie.
Yeah, for the third time.
You'd educate people.
Yes.
They said define educate.
Yes, we did all that. That's like 5 minutes ago.
Nacho.
Yeah, I still yes.
You'd be biased.
Well,
Right.
it is what it's going to be. So.
Okay. Next question then.
What did you fucking answer?
Oh yeah, I'd fucking be biased as all hell. What I think is right. The problem I've got right is, I don't know. I'm worried I'll soapbox a bit too much. Right, is if you have the choice to be truthful and keep Trump, or dishonest to get rid of him. As a news organization, what would you, if you were in charge, what would you do?
That makes no sense because keeping him would.
This is a hypothetical.
Someone like Trump.
Okay, let's just say then, for argument's sake, that all the fucking claims he's making about electoral fraud are true.
Yes.
That would be That's a
nice thing. If that's all true, you could prove it. You can publish that, and it would guarantee he would get another term.
Mm.
Would you publish that information? So you haven't even got to lie. You're just making a choice not to publish.
That's actually one of the best philosophical arguments you've come up with. God.
Right? Because you've got a bias. You obviously got your personal bias for or against him. And
and I could give you my answer on that, but I think
what's your answer?
I would absolutely publish that information because whatever my issue with Trump is, I think that let's just say if every damn allegation he was making was true and you could prove it, that means there's a much bigger fucking problem with US democracy than fucking Trump.
Yes, but again, you could publish it in a month's time.
I'd publish it now. I'd publish it as soon as I could demonstrate it.
Yeah. Manda?
No.
Robbie?
Yes.
Nacho?
Well, it'd be the honesty.
The honesty.
I'm still on the right question.
You'd publish. Jenny?
Truth is damn near sacred.
It is. But truth doesn't matter if you've got a corrupt system.
So is the Constitution. So is the concept and practice of democracy. And I would have to spend a lot of time weighing which is the more important sacred cow. Is it truth or is it the democracy and the Constitution? Both not reporting and Trump could do a lot of damage to the Constitution and democracy.
Yes.
It's evidence in the last 4 years that he would.
Yes.
So if I could rationalize it differently by printing it a month later, is whatever guy gets into office going to be responsible for all those lies and be booted out, or is it going to be all the people running the election into it? It's one of the most impossible arguments you could have presented to me. For me,
how about I offer a compromise that everyone could be happy with? Then
Go on.
you come across that information, you publish it immediately in an article about yay big in about it's somewhere in the center page of your newspaper.
It'll still get picked up.
You still fulfilled your journalistic integrity, but
another newspaper would then report it like crazy.
Made it a headline.
You basically published it. You've published it. You've made the decision.
Withholding truth is no different than lying.
Yeah, let me do this quickly. Horace says I would publish.
A bit like how the Sun published their apologies in the tiny little box every time they committed fucking libel and been caught out with it, and they published their apology like the really tiny little box somewhere where you can't fucking read.
Right, let me do the chat quickly. James Henry says I would do anything and everything to get rid of Trump. Horace says yes, I would publish. He published leaked war crimes, in my opinion. Going back to Assange. Easy, let everyone decide, give the same information. Julie says, I'm against the bastard, but if he was truly elected, I care more about my country than about one arsehole. I'd publish immediately. The media should be the fourth power. Are they, though? Trump is the nemesis of decency. There's definitely split. Go on, Jenny. You got to say yes or no.
Okay. Given the context of the question and not reality, I would withhold and get rid of Trump because I think he could do far more damage. And I'm talking about an authoritarian fascist government in place.
Excellent. Right. Next question.
But imagine
I already answered.
Dave.
I said I would.
Fine.
I wouldn't. In that situation, I wouldn't publish. I'd publish a month later.
You wouldn't?
No, I wouldn't. I'd publish a month later, after Trump was out of office.
Okay.
Nobody here with really ethical journalistic standards here, is there? Let's be honest.
I don't think you can have
newspapers and media, other media, face this every day. They sit in rooms and meetings and decide: are we going to have this story? Are we going to talk about it in that way? Don't you think that this does that and that to the story if we color it this way or that way?
And the worst thing is that's only when you've got all the information. If you don't have all the information, you're making it up anyway.
You go to journalism school, and this is what they teach you. You're going to be doing. Okay, and I've been to journalism school. I just rejected it.
Right. Next question. Next question. They do opinion. Next question. Question 1337. If Santa wanted to retire, who should replace him?
Jesus.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. Amanda.
Jar Jar.
Amanda would be a good choice too. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All you'd hear every Christmas is this faint "fucking be a present." Something hit the house.
I have no clue. Kirk Cameron.
Oh God.
Nerdy says Santa should be replaced by Elf number 1. Julie says Tom Hanks has got 2 votes. James Henry says Fat Albert. Uhura says the ex-Mrs. Jeff Bezos. Theo says Santa Coca-Cola never retires. Nacho.
Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper.
Yep, that'll work.
That'd get me up on Christmas morning.
Well, just to catch him. David Melbourne says Bill Gates. Spooky says Santa's son or daughter. Obviously, he doesn't have a son or daughter. He's too pure. Apparently, we don't get
bollocks. Come on, Dave. Come on, Dave. You've heard Kevin Bloody Wilson songs. They are based on true stories.
What do you think about white is around his coat? That ain't fur, man. That used to be all red.
What's it again? I reference Kevin Bloody Wilson. I saw Mummy sucking Santa Claus.
Borg Skeptic says Brian Blessed. I can't think of a better Santa than Brian Blessed. Robbie!
Who said no? Come on, no. Who did you see that one? James Henry. Did you read out the one James Henry put in the chat?
Oh, RuPaul.
RuPaul. That's the best answer. That is the best answer.
Robbie.
Neil Armstrong. Make more sense. He's an astronaut, you know. Fly back his rocket ship.
Yeah, but he is dead.
Well, the spirit of Neil Armstrong, man. Santa doesn't exist either.
Santa doesn't exist?
There we go. War on Christmas confirmed. Santa does not exist.
Theo says Santa comes to mind since it's an anagram of... Sorry, Satan comes to mind because it's an anagram of Santa. Got that the wrong way around. Ox says, I nominate Stool to take the job. Yeah, everyone would get custard.
Imagine still going fucking Christmas morning. God damn it.
James Henry says George Carlin.
Yeah.
Right.
If Stool became Santa, I'd kill him.
You'd kill him. You know he's going to cut that, don't you?
Someone clip that and send it to him.
No.
Oh, goodness.
Right. Next question. Question 1338. Would you ever act in pornography for payment?
Well, I wouldn't do it for free.
Do it for free.
That's what you mean. I mean, like, hey, you got to get union pay here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a yes to
and
you
the porn
two.
stuff, man, they don't get paid enough as it is. That's a serious topic. Not to mention that they don't get enough protections. But on Tish.
But don't change.
Oh, we have a new question here.
Yeah, ages ago. Robbie.
Would you ever act in a pornography for payment?
Yes. Uhan Roderick said yes. Sex, yes. Capitalism, yes. Simple.
We do get some degree of choice in the pornography we would act in, do we?
No.
No, of course not.
Okay.
Basically,
if it's payment, if it's payment, we don't get a fucking choice.
You're the middle of the centipede.
So this is what I'm like.
This is what he's worried about.
This is what I'm worried about. I get cast in like some fucking furry porn shit or something.
No, you get a choice. It's a job. Nerdy says how much payment. Judy says what Nerdy said how much. David Melbourne says for pizza and tacos.
People would
Nobody said what time. When do we start?
Never again says.
I just got to know if it involves weaponry or pain.
It could do.
Is that when you're definitely in?
No, that's when I'm definitely out.
Oh.
Never again says we've had this question before, worded slightly differently. Same answer. No, we have not had this question worded differently. We had a different question because there is 3 questions that go together that I didn't want to put in the same episode.
I'll give the same. I'll give the same answer I always fucking give. Then I can't fucking give it away, let alone charge anyone for it.
Well, that's why this is a fantasy show.
Yes. Ricardo says, "What scene? Who with? Might do it for free." Oh, Uhura says, "I have revenge porn out there. That's not good." Chad says, "Sure, why not? Fuck it. / them." Julie says, "I'd certainly consider it." And Deary says, "I'm going to be Krampus." Sam says, "Payment."
Krampus porn, that's a thing?
That's it, probably. Santa porn is.
Everything is a thing.
It is. Theo says, "I'm an actor, we can only pretend to fuck." James says, have sex for money does not appeal to me. Gibbler says, meat for meat. Nerdy rodent, Bitcoin only. Right, Manda.
But you're not really getting sex for money. You're getting paid to do a job which happens to involve sex.
Yes.
You're a filmmaker or an actor.
You're a professional actor.
Yeah,
People would pay me not to appear in porn. Let's be honest.
Is that the same as charging you to watch it?
You just wait till New Year's Eve.
He's no Brad Pitt.
Fucking hate you, babe.
I don't know what you're talking about. Manda! Would you?
I am unaffordable.
You're unaffordable. So that's a yes then.
No.
You would if the price was right. You would indecent
I'm just
proposal.
saying, nobody can afford me, so it's a moot question.
So you would indecent proposal then? $1 million.
It would have been far more entertaining if one of us had been able to answer. Wait, I already did that.
Dave, we're waiting for Dave to answer.
Uhan Roderick says sex work should be legal. Yes, it should.
Absolutely.
So you wouldn't take payment to do a scene where literally Mark Sargent is depicted sucking your dick.
The whole point is I don't have a dick, so there's,
All right, you're pegging Mark Sargent.
No, not worth it. Sorry.
Not worth it. Robbie.
Yeah, I already said yes.
You already said yes. Excellent. Right.
And he already has the mankini ready for it. So
it's going to be interesting. We can record our next sesh. Are you going to pay me? Right. Where are we at time-wise? Oh, shit, we're getting close. Right.
yeah, we're not far off now.
Question 1339. If you could have any one of Inspector Gadget's gadgets, what would you choose, or is it too cyborg-y?
Skeleton key in the finger.
The fuck?
I don't know any of his
Gadgets.
things.
Well, he's got a skeleton key in the finger, and he's got a helicopter that comes out of his hat that he can fly with.
The fucking helicopter is awesome.
Yeah, I might have to go with that, but I know that I don't want to answer that because I know then I'll remember something else. And I'll go, oh, but that was cool too. I love the car.
I'd kind of like a vibrator that comes out of my hand. I get a lot less tired holding on.
Go gadget dildo.
Yep.
That's in the porn version, isn't it?
Horace says go gadget.
Know what porno you were in.
There we go. Hey, maybe there's a market there. We've missed Inspector Gadget porn.
I know it's there.
It so exists. It does.
I'm pretty sure if you tried it, there would be lawsuits afoot.
Nerdy says go gadget penis for sure. Julie says skeleton key. Ahura says go gadget helicopter. Never again shit says shit, I never watched it. James Henry says his trench coat. Well, his trench coat has got everything in. I'm not sure that's
true. It had a lot of cool stuff.
A cyborg pecker and a built-in ATM. That way the wife is always happy. Theo says key lock fingertips. Chad says helicopter hat head. Though we were never shown the not safe for work augmentation. Clearly he has a kid because Penny. Is he Penny's dad?
No, he's Penny's. That's Penny's his niece.
cool.
He doesn't have to have a kid. Penny's his niece.
Yeah.
I guess I would pick the helicopter thing in the hat. Then I could identify as an attack helicopter and not get people mad because it was real.
You do know the sad thing. You know the weird thing about this is like you do realize Notcher kind of sounds like Dr. Claw. Can you Notcher?
Gadget. Next time, Gadget. Next time.
Superb. Manda! Quick, say stuff to her. Then he has to have a father because he has a brother.
Manda, go Gadget microphone.
Angel was in here. That was why I said 1 minute, please. Love you.
Hello.
Fuck you too. Thanks.
Are you having a Go-Go Gadget dildo too?
What?
The Go-Go Gadget dildo.
Yeah, I'll go with the dildo then. It works.
Go the dildo.
Right. Penultimate.
Dave, don't worry. I am always on duty.
you know. I'm not sure that's a good thing.
I know way too much about Inspector Gadget.
I have a question for you. What's your opinion on Postman Pat?
On what?
Postman Pat should be publicly executed.
All right, forget I asked. Just forget I asked.
Harsh.
Fucking cat. Yeah.
Who's
Right.
Postman Pat?
Okay, you don't know. Okay.
Postman Pat with that fucking black and white cat.
Postman Pat is the source.
I don't think that had fucking in it,
Postman Pat is the source of most of the misery in my life because I saw that when I was a toddler. I thought it was brilliant. Thought that looks like a brilliant thing to be when I grow up.
You get to go around and have...
I mean, come on, look, what did he do? What did he do? He delivered like 5 letters a day, spent most of his day drinking tea with Mrs. Goggins. It looked like a fucking cushy number.
I'm going to apologise now. I'm very, very sorry.
Oh, God.
Right, next question. Penultimate question. Question.
Gonna ask about Bob the Builder now.
Question 1341. It's the wrong number. Question 1340. You're a hitman that only kills someone at their most inconvenient moment. At what moment do you strike?
Right before they come.
Yeah, I was thinking that or like on the shitter, but yeah.
I would say mid dump.
Ox says when they hit the lotto for 100 million, you're going to be waiting around for some of them to get that one.
Yeah.
Nerdy says when they're having a shit. Uhan Roderick says shaving their butthole.
At the bottom of a bungee jump. So just as you hit the peak low of the bungee, bang.
Oh, you'd so miss. You just know they're going to bounce back up before you hit them.
Of course, but you know, this is fantasy land here.
James Henry says when they're taking a dump.
Just as someone's agreed to go with just as somebody they've been talking to on Tinder has finally agreed to go on a date with them.
You got a date on Tinder?
No, that's just cruel. That's just cruel.
I ain't getting laid, no fucker is.
Murder is one thing. Cruelty is just.
Aren't you in tier 5?
Tier 4, but I think we'll be getting to tier 5.
I'm waiting for you to get to tier 7 where you're not allowed to daydream about going out.
Yeah.
Chad says their first child's 6th birthday party. That'd be traumatizing.
Why the 6th?
I don't
Why
know.
specifically the 6th?
I don't know. I'm always wondering that.
It's probably a personal
What if
issue.
they were just born, or you have to wait around for them to get married and then have a kid? Like, fuck that. That's worse than waiting to have them win the lotto. At least that you can fake.
And if your birthday is such a great thing to celebrate every year, why didn't you get one the moment you were born?
They celebrated it. You. Well, your dad celebrated. Your mum had a nap. 9 o'clock hero says, trying to unlock the door whilst carrying shopping.
Yeah, it could work.
Inconvenient. Manda.
I was the first one to answer.
I don't know
Yeah.
why you wanted to change your answer for a nice, sensible answer, for a really sensible
No,
question.
I mean that's.
Oh,
See, yeah.
sensible.
I and I don't know why people think my answer's cruel in comparison to Manta's.
Caden says, right before they sign their will. It can be after they sign their will if it's to me. Robbie.
Yeah, probably the shitter. Probably most convenient.
To be honest, is there actually such a thing as a convenient time to get murdered?
I mean, if I was murdered at like 110 years old, I probably wouldn't mind.
I think if you were going to go for cruel, I would probably go for just after your GCSEs, just after your A-levels, or just after you've delivered a successful PhD thesis.
How about just after the time they've given up smoking? Because
2 weeks.
yeah,
2 weeks
just,
after they've not had.
just after they've successfully given up smoking because they're afraid of dying.
Right. When you're asleep, that's not good. Right, last question. Question 1341. Would you rather be magical but live on Earth, or live in a magical land but be normal? This is a bit of a trick question for Notcher.
I actually find that easy. I'd rather be like the magical but on Earth.
Yeah.
In a familiar zone. Especially then if you're like the only one, because on Earth, magic really isn't a thing. So is it on the proviso that you're the only one magic? Because that would make you very unique. But if you just went to a magical planet...
So define magic.
Harry Potter type magic?
Okay.
I mean, I quite like to go Gandalf type magic.
Would I be allowed to make J.K. Rowling disappear?
Sure.
Cool.
You'd be magic. I mean, pretty much nobody could touch you if you were on Earth, or you could be normal in a magical. You could have no magical powers, but everything around you and everyone is magic.
It's kind of like the song lyric, a friend of all is a friend of none. If you're on a magic planet and everybody's magical, then nobody's magical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yandiri said, I'd rather have magic. Ox said, Earth, she is my master. Julie says, magical on Earth. James Henry says, magical on Earth. I think I made this question too easy. Never Again says, how magical may I be? What?
It is a fairly easy one, given the choices there, I think.
Julie says, I demand Gandalf magic. Nerdy says, in a magical land, but normal, I hope that all my friends could do magic so they could do stuff for me if I'm lucky. Chad says, I would want to be in a magical world. I would love to discover new things with my own eyes for a lifetime. That's the point, to explore a magical world.
The problem is, I know that, I mean, I'll do this, and I think it's got to be magical powers, but on Earth. And I know the trouble is, I could see myself and Amanda doing the very same thing with those powers. We're going to go out there and like play fucking Star Wars for real and like force choke people and shit.
Yeah.
Some people deserve force choking.
Force choke, force lightning people. Yeah, you gotta fucking do it.
Listen, we're not discussing your sex lives. James Henry says I would make Ted Cruz disappear.
Dave, you must do what you feel is right, of course.
No. Yandere says I want magic. You heard what he said. So I forgot to hit mute on when my boss called. Oh, that was awkward. What were we talking about? Never Again says I take the magic Samantha on Bewitched had. Only I would use it. Yeah, and Roderick. Now, see, that's the problem. Is David Warley makes a good point. Would you prefer to be disabled in a world of able-bodied pilled people, or in a world? It's the same thing, isn't it? Basically. Johan Roderick says magic on Earth. Never Again. Say here I'm in my magic dome. I don't think force powers count as magic. No, it's still magic.
What? How do force powers not count as magic?
Because the story says it's not magic.
Well, I mean, not until the fourth fucking movie, so.
It flows through you. It's everything. It does stuff. It's fucking.
I tell you what, you might want to look at certain belief systems around the world, because that's pretty much how they would define magic, is manipulating nature.
Yeah, that's magic. Good, right.
That is absolutely
manipulating
magic.
the laws of physics.
Yeah.
Right. Does everyone want to want to be magical on Earth then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Boring. Fuckers. Me too. All right. Right. On that note, has anyone got anything fun coming up? Sleep. If you would, it is tomorrow for you.
It is. It's almost 9 a.m.
What crazy person convinced you to get up at 7:30?
I know. Some fucking crazy nut job. Poor Navadia had to deal with me, though. I am not
Deal
a
with
person. I'm just like, why am I doing this? Who said the actual time of the day? Yeah. But nonetheless,
next time it's got to be her time to come on it.
Then he's got to get her up.
Yeah, exactly. She should have ducked off to work half an hour ago, so now, so yeah, or an hour ago probably.
Manda.
Yeah. Whatever.
See nothing. Robbie.
Thursday.
What's happening on Thursday?
Mankini pig.
Mankini pig.
Should be.
You're trying to put people off, aren't you? You're trying to put people off, aren't you?
2 people that have subscribed actually said that I am subscribing on the fact that you don't do this.
So you're going to drop down to 500 subs?
Probably.
Jenny?
Let's see. New Year's Eve, I'm going to be on a stream with what's their names? That Australian woman and
Jen.
Yeah, that's her, and William from Los Angeles, and we're going to just get naked and stuff like that and tell dirty stories. And
is there going to be a mankini?
If he wants to wear one, he can.
Jeff.
I was going to be on Jen's stream on New Year's Eve. After what Jenny just said, I'm not so sure I want to now. But no. Otherwise, I don't know. I may stream. I might do a stream tomorrow. So I don't know. I haven't decided on that. I'm just probably going to sort out a schedule of stuff in the new year, because there's some people I've reached out to for interviews, but I don't have anything set in stone with dates or time yet. So I've said like a number of times, I'm hoping to try and do a bit more on my channel going into the new year. So we'll see how it works out.
Excellent. And Nacho, do you actually have anything?
No, not really. Come
Fun
subscribe
time?
anyway.
Come subscribe anyway. All their links are in the description. I was organised.
If Nacho will get up for fucking Dave's at 7:30, you're bound to see Nacho in my channel in the next month, because I wouldn't ask him to do that. I'd ask him to get up at 8:30.
It makes a big difference too.
Hey, Nacho, do you foresee a time ever where you would be able to do a face reveal?
Yes.
I see a time, yes.
Oh, okay.
He's laid the conditions out. He's explained he's laid the conditions out repeatedly.
Oh, I
as to
have
what he would
I've
do.
heard those. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I don't know how public the conditions are, but he has said them.
Notice I'm not asking.
No, well, it'd be a matter of just finding a way out of the living situation that I'm in now, and doing it a safe way. And then the alternative would be to get my religious family out of the religion. That would be the other way. So one or the other option.
Okay. I personally think, even if you achieve those things, the who is not your thing, it could be like. I think it's better that it's left a mystery, because it could be like all these like ripperologists who try to figure out who Jack the Ripper is like 100-odd years later. You know,
The Zodiac Killer could be the
yeah,
Zodiac Killer.
no. Oh no, I've got I know who the Zodiac Killer is, but yeah.
Yeah, we all know that's Ted Cruz. Come on.
Steve McRae, I've sort of that one.
Apparently, Cadence is Nacho. Right, we're gonna go. Oh, I'll have another song out on Christmas Eve. You can all guess what it's gonna be.
Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, Robbie or Dave? What a fucking name is? Damn
New
it.
Year's Eve. New Year's
Answer
Eve.
pig. Dave is the
What?
last pig.
She didn't say pig. She said Robbie. I've been promoted to Robbie.
I call Robbie Angel all the time, so I just can't get names straight at all.
Oh, I'm starting my nerd debates and my own trivia stuff in 2021. Force powers, nature versus magic is going to be a debate topic. Cool. Right. We will see
Might
you
be in on that one.
Math Pigs or Jenny's, or I think I will probably do another one of these next Tuesday. Other than that, good night, everyone. Have fun. Bye.
Right.